This presentation will show you the basics of writing a healthcare resume. If you already have a resume, this could be a good time to bring it up to date. Here is an example of a certified nurse assistant resume, and this is the one that will be used in this presentation. Your Watch Career Coordinator can show you example resumes for other healthcare professions, including LPN, RN, EMT, or paramedic. Keep in mind this is a sample. Your resume will be your own creation. Do you really need a resume? You may apply for jobs online, mail an application, or drop your application off in person. Check the employer's website to find job listings and to see what their application process is. Do they require an application? Do they ask for a resume, a cover letter, references? In most cases, even if a resume is not required, it's a good idea to create one and send it with a cover letter and the application. It's also a good idea to take a resume to an interview. Make sure to take a few copies in case you get interviewed by several people. For example, the shift supervisor, the director of nursing, or the human resources professional. Whether you are writing your first resume or updating one you already have, you can start by looking at some samples so you can get a feel for the resume formats of today. The internet is filled with examples. Here are a few websites that have lots of samples and resume writing guides. Resume templates can also be found on the internet. A template lets you fill in your information and then it writes the resume for you. This might seem to be an easy way to write a resume, but resume templates have lots of drawbacks. It's pretty difficult to get the resume to look exactly the way you want it to look. Also, employers can usually tell if your resume was created using a template, and when you email it, the line and paragraph spacing may not look right. After looking at a few sample resumes to get the idea, put them away and start your own resume by making a list using word processing software such as Microsoft Word. If you have a master application, as explained in another presentation, you could use that to help you write this list. The next few slides will show you examples of how to write each thing on your list. Your list should include your name, address, phone number, including area code, and an email address where you can be contacted. Avoid using unprofessional sounding email addresses like littlecathy@hotmail.com or mickeymouse@gmail.com. You can set up a new professional sounding job search email account for free at gmail.com. For example, jsmith@gmail.com. Your education. List the name of your most recent school, the city and state, the name of the program or major, such as Nurse Assistant Program or Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and the date you graduated. List licenses and certifications with the dates you obtained them. Don't forget to include your current CPR certification if you have that. Job and school-related accomplishments can set your resume apart from other applicants who are only listing general skills such as good communicator. Try to think of specific things you accomplished, like perfect attendance, or took the initiative to organize all incoming supplies, or achieved the honor roll every semester, or assisted dementia patients with skills of daily living. Make a list of your work and volunteer experience, including the name of the place you worked, the city and state, and the dates you worked there. Begin with the most recent. Be sure to list your clinical experience as a student. Volunteer jobs can be listed as well. And it's not necessary to list every job you've ever had, but if you've only had one job, go ahead and list that to show that you do have some work experience. You will certainly want to include all healthcare experience. Here is Kathy's list, which can help you complete your own list. Contact information. List your full name and your title, such as RN or CNA, if you passed your state licensing exam. Use your complete mailing address and include your phone number with area code and a professional-sounding email address. This may be a good time for you to set up a new email account to use for job searching. Make sure you check that email and your voicemail at least once a day as soon as you send out your first resume or application. Education. List your most recent school. It's not necessary to list the name of your high school, but you may. Be sure to list the month and year graduated. Licenses and certifications. Include the state where you have your license. Include your CPR license and date if it is still current, including the date it expires. Accomplishments. At first, you may not be able to think of things you accomplished, but your career coordinator can help you if you get stuck. Did you make honor roll? Did you deal effectively with irate residents or their family members? Did you receive any special recognitions in school or on the job? Work experience. It's a good idea to type the job titles in bold if they are healthcare jobs. Now that your list is done, it will be easy to transfer it to your resume. Use your list to write the top sections of your resume. Remember, your resume needs to be original. Divide it into clear sections and include plenty of white space to make it easy to read. Most employers spend only a few seconds looking at a resume, so make sure you use an easy-to-read font such as Times New Roman or Arial. Avoid pictures and bright colors, and make sure your margins are even. A healthcare resume should be professional looking. Make sure everything is spelled correctly. Here are some things to notice about Kathy's resume. She includes her title, CNA, after her name. She includes her complete mailing address, her phone number with the area code in parentheses, and a professional-sounding email address. Just below that, she has a summary of her qualifications, emphasizing the things an employer will be looking for. The fact that she has passed her CNA exam, that she has current clinical training, and that she has experience in the healthcare field. Also notice that she has worked with memory-impaired patients, which is a big plus. Finally, a big selling point is the fact that she will work any shift. So right at the top of the resume, Kathy has gotten the employer's attention. Kathy has made sure that she has a professional-sounding voicemail message before sending this resume off. No loud music, and be sure your voicemail is set up and that your mailbox is not full. And once you begin your job search, make sure to check your email and voice messages regularly, at least once a day. Some resumes have an objective statement at the top instead of a summary. An example of an objective would be a CNA position in the pediatric department. This presentation uses the summary instead of the objective statement. You can state the title of the job you are applying for in your cover letter. Your Watch Career Coordinator can direct you to a presentation on how to write a cover letter. In the middle section of Kathy's resume, she has listed her CNA and her CPR certifications. It's important to list these on the resume so the employer can determine quickly if you are on the Pennsylvania registry. They do want to find people with the certifications required by the state. Some employers require current CPR certification as well. Kathy has listed her most recent education, which relates to the CNA job she is applying for. If you have other education beyond high school, you should list that as well. The qualifications section is optional. List other things that could make you a quick hire. The employer can see that Kathy has had a recent physical and her clearances are run. This can speed up the hiring process. The accomplishment section is one of the most important sections of the resume, and it should be very specific. It should include things you have done on the job, as a volunteer, or in your clinical training. Try to avoid simply listing skills that every CNA or nurse has to have to pass their boards, such as taking accurate vital signs. What have you contributed at your jobs? Remember, it's not just about what you want from a job, it's about what you can contribute to an organization. Notice that throughout the resume, Kathy has written in phrases instead of complete sentences. Bullets and lists are preferable to sentences. Placing important items in bold can help catch the eye of employers as well. In the experience section, list relevant work experience, including actual paid positions, volunteer work, and your clinical experience. List your most recent experience first. Remember, you don't need to list every job you've ever had. Now let's look at our sample again, putting all the pieces together. Keep in mind that there are many possible formats for resumes, and yours does not have to look exactly like this one. Instead, this resume can be used as a guide to help you get started. Now you're ready to do a first draft of your resume. Remember, your career coordinator will be happy to look over it and make suggestions for you. Just to review, here are some things you should not have on your resume. Personal information. References should be listed in a separate document, not in your resume. The references page can be offered to the employer at the interview or when they ask for references. Your career coordinator can direct you to another presentation that explains how to write your references page. Exaggerations or things that are not true. Employers will verify the information on your resume. Do not list your grade point average unless you have at least a B, or a 3.0, or a 90%. Unreadable fonts, colors, and graphics. Every job you've ever had. Large paragraphs of information. The words I or my. Mistakes, misspelled words, typos, and grammar errors. And here are some things you should do when you write your resume. Print out your resume and proofread it several times before sending it. Then ask your career coordinator and at least one other person, such as an instructor, to proofread it as well. Try to keep the length of your resume to 1 page. 2 pages is fine if you have lots of experience or education. Use spell check, but watch out for typos where you type A-N, but you meant A-N-D. Spell check will not pick that up. Make your resume neat, clean, and readable. Use consistent fonts, formats, and spacing throughout. Check employer websites and try to use some of their keywords in your resume. Write your resume using word processing software instead of a template. Be specific when describing your accomplishments, giving examples. Use about a 1-inch margin on all sides and a font size of 10 to 12. Place the most important items near the top of your resume. Make your resume a reflection of you on paper, letting the employer know what you can do for them. Remember to set up your voicemail box and a professional email and check them daily. Finally, remember that your resume is a work in progress. You should target it to each job you apply for, adjusting the keywords and emphasizing the skills that each employer seeks. Continue to update your resume as you add new skills, experiences, and education throughout your healthcare career. And remember, busy employers have to make quick decisions when reviewing stacks of resumes. If they spend only about 10 seconds to decide if a resume goes into the yes pile or the no pile, make sure that yours is a polished presentation so it won't get eliminated. Make your 10 seconds count to help you get that interview.